After my variables slide, I'm going to move on to my hypothesis. So with my hypothesis, this is really an educated guess about how you think your experiment is going to go. You're going to use your research and your background information that you looked up to really think about what's going to happen when you conduct your experiment. So we've talked about the if-then statement when talking about a hypothesis, when we're thinking about the scientific method or the scientific process. So we're really looking at, if I do this, then I think this will happen. An example of this is if I were to really be testing what would happen to plant growth if I were to use coffee versus water. So my hypothesis might be, if I pour 100 milliliters of coffee on 4 pea plants and pour 100 milliliters of water in another 4 pea plants, then I think the plants with coffee will grow taller because caffeine will stimulate the plants. So on this slide, you're really just making a guess as to what is going to happen in your experiment. Next, your materials slide. This is a detailed list of the items you need to complete your experiment. When I say detailed, I mean detailed. So that means specific amounts used, and make sure that you include units. If I were to go back to my hypothesis slide, I wrote milliliters. That is my exact units. So grams, milliliters, pounds, inches, centimeters. And I need to be specific with the amounts used. So if anyone were to want to replicate this experiment, they would be able to do so. You also need to make sure that you've included everything that you used, even if it's something as simple as a spoon to mix something together. You need to include every single item that you used in your experiment, or you plan to use it in your experiment. Next is your procedure. This is a step-by-step really list of things you need to do in order to complete your experiment. So you need to remember to number your steps, and also this might be a good place to add a few photos to your experiment. Your data and observations. So after you conduct your experiment, you need to really gather and analyze your data. It's easier to understand the data if it's put into a table or graph, and you can create a graph actually on Microsoft Excel and import it here. If you need help with doing this, I would be more than happy to help you with this. Finally, your conclusion slide. So this is really a brief summary of what you discovered based on the results of your experiment. So you're analyzing that data and those observations. You're going to write down why you think your experiment turned out the way that it did. You're going to refer back to your hypothesis and see whether or not it was supported. So you need to say, my hypothesis was or was not supported. Do not say that you were right or that you were wrong. Even when your hypothesis was not supported, you can gain information about your topic, and you can use scientific reasoning for your conclusion. So the conclusion slide is really a reflection of your experiment. You can also talk about what challenges you faced, what went well, and maybe what you would do differently next time. Works cited is really just the print and electronic sources that you used for your project. We are not going to use APA citation for this. You need to copy and paste the URLs that you used and put them in a bulleted points list on this slide. And that is it for your PowerPoint presentation. So remember, this template you can use, or you can make your own using the one that you created originally at the beginning of this video, and really just start to make a skeleton of your project PowerPoint. You can just start by labeling each slide.